Hello everyone, Chef here, with Epic recently announcing that the block is returning, this time completely different than Chapter 1, because the community isn't designing a whole new POI. This time round, we get to design a new building for Tilted Towers. I thought it would be a good idea to make a submission, and I think it turned out pretty well. Also, before you ask, no, I don't have a creator code. This build was just for fun really, so I won't be able to submit it. I feel like before we get into the build, however, we should have a bit of a history lesson about Tilted Towers on the Chapter 3 map. A brief history of the towers that tilt on the Fortnite Chapter 3 map. When the map first flipped over, revealing the Chapter 3 map, players first took to notice that the landmark Frosty Fields was identical to Tilted Towers, with its layout being the same. After the winter event happened and the snow started to melt, Frosty Fields did, revealing Tilted Towers in all its glory, but updated for Chapter 3. A season later, however, when the war between the Imagined Order and Seven broke out, the east of Tilted Towers became a battleground between the two factions for the last time, as Tilted was the last location liberated by the Seven. However, even though the battle for Tilted didn't happen in Tilted itself, this fan favourite location was heavily affected. Trump Tower, the Fish Apartments, and the other apartments were all destroyed. And a season later, here we are, and Epic is letting us decide what will stand in the previous building's place. So, onto the build. I decided to go over the shop building as the restaurant felt like it would be quite limited in what I could make, because the only thing you can make for the restaurant is a pizza pit building, and the apartments didn't really interest me. Before building, I knew I wanted to make the lower level the nom shop, and the rest I made as I went along. First I made the general shape of the building out of materials, and then I placed down a couple of the galleries that I wanted to use in this build, which obviously makes sense why, but they could have at least added a couple of more Chapter 3 galleries that we could use, because in all honesty, it felt quite limited. I then found the walls I wanted to use, and since the NOMS logo is yellow and blue, I decided to get the corresponding walls for the NOMS level. After completing the foundation of the ground floor, I decided the second level will be a McGuffin's bookstore, because that's the only other shop in Tilted. I also decided to add in these 3 chairs, as an Easter egg to Dusty Depot. Due to this being the more simpler floor, I decided to add in the different bookshelves before adding in props for NOMS. I also thought McGuffin's logo inside would look pretty nice. Then we start on the NOMS floor. I tried mirroring this cash machine but failed. Oh well. Since this entire build is pretty small, I tried to cram in as many shelves as I could, and because the area wasn't very lit up, I decided to get some overhanging lights to light the place up a bit more. I then put some plant pots outside, which I changed later on, and I get rid of this staircase here so there's more space in the NOMS. I add another staircase and start building for the 3rd floor and roof of the building. I wanted for the 3rd floor to go with it being still under construction to add more character to the build. And that was the end of the first session. So far, I had about 25% of the build done. I first started building the 3rd floor, but then realised that there was still some stuff to be done at the bottom. And here, I make the main gimmick of this build. So since the building is very small, it's really easy to sprint right through it. But I decided it'd be cool if I had an open entrance and a half open exit, which is a garage door. So you sprint, then slide. Then I came up with the very motivational, inspirational name, the Sprint and Slide Through Shops. And I quite like this. It's something I would take advantage of if it was on the actual map, and it would be a good way to get away from people chasing you. The plant pots didn't look very good, so instead I put an umbrella outside alongside some chairs so people can grab a snack or a book and sit outside. I knew I wanted to make something different for this build, something no one else would probably make, and something that would give the build a lot of character, so I made the 4th floor a room like none other. This room would be where the person who owns this building lives, and that person would be one of the vampire skins. And if this were to actually get into the game, that's who I'd want roaming around here as an NPC. I found the closest colour to black and started to put the walls in, and because this room is for a vampire, there are no windows because vampires don't like sunlight. And because some 7 props are in the Tilted gallery, I use these to make it look like they gave the vampire character some supplies to help them out. Then to fill up space, I decided to put a bunch of wooden frames around for the still being built up look. I started to look for residential props, such as a rug when you first walk in, a bed, I would have used a coffin if I could have, a fridge, and a TV and a couch. I added in some more props and I pretty much finished that floor. These pillars were key in this build when I used them, as some walls kept poking out and showing the other side, so it looked very tacky. And that was the 2nd session done, only 1 more to go now. I started by getting to work on building the 3rd floor. To give it more character, I made this floor an office that's still getting built, and luckily for me, the Tilted 2.0 galleries have a lot of construction props. Then I decided to get to work on the top of the building, adding in ventilation shafts and whatnot. I know these are supposed to be bike racks, I just thought it looked quite cool on top of the roof, acting as a guard so you don't fall off.
With my squad, I'm rolling good. When I spot it, it looked like food. Let's go eat it, let's go and see. And when I did, it ate me. It was a gumball, it was a gumball. It was a gum gum gum, it was a gum gum gum. It was a gumball, it was a gumball. It was a gum gum gum, gum gum gum. It was a gumball. Is it a curse or superpower? I'll never know.
Then I added in some finishing touches and I was done.
You know the gumballs keep coming and so the loot keeps on dropping, you know.
Get on your feet, get up out your seat. Everybody here, get up. Hands in the air, get up out your chair. Everybody here, get up. Get up, get up, get up, get up. Everybody here, get up. Get up, get up, get up, get up. Let me see you all get up. What the heck you waiting for?
And that was my submission for the Block 2.0. Yes, I know it isn't going to get in, one because I don't have a supported creator code yet, another because the block winners have been leaked out, but it doesn't matter because I only did this for a bit of fun and to test my creative skills. Thank you for watching, the trailer will be out this Friday, see ya.